So I know. Let me get this set up. I am trying to calm down and function all at the same time, and this. Okay. Uh, I've been the after all this happened, I actually have counted the amount of times I have been either had a weapon pulled on me, like happened this morning, or actually had something like that happen to me, where it escalated to that. This is like the fifth time in my life. You know that? Five times. I'm 44 years old, so basically, less than a decade. Basically once every decade. I have one pulled on me, or I have a weapon pulled on me. So, anyways, what's up, DFH? The medicine's finally kicking in. Thank God. Because I was about ready to come out of my skin. And I'm like, shit, I need somebody to talk to, because if I don't get out of my head, I'm just going to keep reliving it. That's the thing about having PTSD, is that whenever you go through something, it's just like you constantly relive it until you can get it resolved. So let me walk you through the events this morning, and what's happened and where the conclusion is at, or at least where I expect things to be at. Um, which is this. Okay, so this morning, while on a live stream, those of you that were there got to hear something. So thanks, BTC. Okay, got to hear what happened this morning, or got to see what. Well, nobody got to really see it. Okay, but they got to hear it, and so after that happened, because I quickly de-escalated it, I felt comfortable. Why did I feel comfortable? Because two things. One, I just passed my neighbor that I have a really good relationship with. I consider him pretty much my only friend in the area, because he's pretty much the only person that isn't either trying to attach themselves to me in one way or another. It's an actual friendship, and I really like him. And I really respect the friendship. At first, you're going to be skittish of everybody, but as I've gotten to know him, he's a swell guy. I'll just leave it at that. So apparently he heard the shots going off, and he looked down the road. And so after I got done calling the police, so I had to call the Apache County Sheriff's Department, because they're the only ones that service out here. I called them out, and they came and I gave them my location. I said, this is my location. I used my what three words. Now, what is what three words, and why should you have it, and why should you use it, especially in an emergency situation? Because you may not know exactly where you're at, but this is a grid that is there's a three-word code that's tied. It's foot by foot, so that they can find you. So if you guys remember, when I was out on trail, and I had to go to the hospital in Maryland, because I did the splits going down a detour, I ended up having to use what three words? Okay, or actually, yeah, we we tried. Well, no, they told me that that's what they use. That's that emergency department uses. But apparently, not all of them use it. Well, no. Because when I talked to the lady on the phone, she knew exactly where I was at. I said, "Here's my what three words," and she entered it in, and she says, "You're here." I says, "Well, that's my what three words." So, because you don't know where you're at, it's a whole grid of the whole place. You just pull it up, and wherever you're at, it will give you that exact. And then like I told the lady, I says, it's probably about 150 200 feet behind me, because um because of just kind of the way that the way that things escalated and de-escalated, is I just kept on walking. See, I didn't just stand and confront the guy, because the guy was, once he pointed at me, and I kind of semi pointed the camera at him. Apparently I didn't get him in camera. I was trying to get him in camera, is what I was trying to do. And so while that was happening, he took it from being pointed at me, and pointed it up in the air, and discharged it three times. Okay, and so that's essentially what happened during that whole skirmish. Why did he do that? Because I've heard stories from neighbors, and I generally, like, just like my neighbor told me, he's like, look, I didn't want to. We all kind of know he's crazy. He's been aggressive with some of the neighbors, but we don't really want to destroy his reputation, and stuff like that. So people are kind enough out here to give you somewhat of a benefit of the doubt, because out here, we're off grid, man. There's a reason why people are out here. We're not out here because we're pleasant people. We're out here because we want to be left alone and don't want to be around anybody. And so by me, going down going down the road, he felt that his privacy was being violated. Now there's been multiple times, if you guys have watched the live streams, I've talked to Ross. Hey, what's up, Ross, man? How's it going? Da, 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 da. I said, hey, I'm doing a live, and just keep on walking. And the thing is, he never got upset with it. He got upset with it when I started talking about Stephanie and how I was working with her. Hey, what's up, Janelle? With Stephanie and how I was working with her. And so he did not like that. And I kind of saw it back then or the other day, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just kind of jumping to conclusions, because you don't really want to jump to conclusions. But you could tell that all of a sudden the interaction between us had soured. And you know, because he kind of showed me his little clips where he has his thing. So I'm like, okay, so I know this guy's armed. Thanks for letting me know. I kind of figured it all out already. But you know, because he was reaching for, I don't think he had his actual pistol on him at that time, because I think he probably would have pulled it on me at that point in time, just because he felt that I was a threat to his living. And so, because he doesn't want me mentioning what city and what state that I'm in, because he's worried that, you know, da 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 da. Okay, so and this was, and the only thing that kind of is like, dude, I gotta go. I got things I got to do. And Joanna called me right at the time. I said, look, I got this phone call. Have a nice day. And just walked off. And then I reached out to him yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to do an interview today. Do you want to do it tomorrow? He's like, oh, okay. Yeah. No problem. And he says, I asked him what time. He said, anytime. I said, great. So I said, hey, I'm going to be doing a live. I'm going to come up. I'm going to catch you. He's like, well, I didn't know I was going to be on camera. It's like, what the fuck do you think an interview is, you dumbass? You know, it's like, come on, think about it. You know, you're a content creator with 50 subscribers. So his channel is AZ OffGrid. He has 54 subscribers. He's been hidden from this channel, but apparently he's been dropping some nasty comments, and I haven't been paying attention to it because I get so many comments, especially in chats and stuff like that, that I don't pay attention to it. So, anyways, yeah, you know, I get to walking down the road. I get to, you know, after this whole incident, and I'm trying to get to my what 3 apps, and it's got a fucking like 3 advertisements to open it up, dude. When you got a goddamn, excuse my language, when you've got an emergency, you shouldn't have to wade through ads to be able to get your location, because that's used for emergencies. That's not just used for like, oh, Randall, where am I at? No, what you're doing is that's there for emergencies. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where I'm at, but if you need a pinpoint location, here is where I'm at on the what 3 words grid. Okay. And I had to go through 3 ads to get to that. And I'm sitting there click, 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 click like this. I'm starting to get really pissed. So I'm like, okay, this is where I'm at. Swipe that out, 911, call them. Hey, this is what happened. Here's my what 3 words. And she pulls it up. She's like, oh, okay, da, 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 you're good. And I'm like, okay, perfect. You know, all is good. And so she's like, yeah, we've got a response time. I'll have an officer reach out to you. By the time I was going into town, as I was crossing over to the post office, I get a call from the officer, and he tells me, and it's like, and I had to ask him, I says, I'm new to Arizona. What is my right of defense? Like, what are my rights? If I get into a confrontation, it's like, you have the right to defend your person and your property. I'm like, okay, good. I'm in one of those states. That's good, because Oregon will not allow you to defend your person and your property. That's their big issue. Okay. So anyway, so the sheriff ends up calling me. And you know, I explained to him what happened. I told him that it was on a live stream, and you know, and I said, look, this needs to be resolved. I'm having to take an alternative route home, so I had to walk an extra 2 miles to get home, which I actually needed it just to kind of get all that adrenaline out. And then on top of that, I end up, you know, I get my food, you know, I get my package, and I want to say to, where is the note? I want to say thank you very much to Tommy B for sending me a care package. And I'm going to show that to you guys here in a minute, because he sent me some cool stuff. He is an off-gridder like me, and mailed me something. So that was part of the reason why we're going into town. Is for that, I needed cigarettes, and I needed to grab some food. So I grabbed some food. But then we had to go the other way back in through the library. And so as I'm almost to the library, I end up I end up talking with a couple and complimenting on their yard and finding out about them, and they probably think I'm crazy, but whatever. Um, just because of the weird conversation that we were having about law, and then they're like, "Well, I'm a lawyer." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, never mind. This conversation is not going to go anywhere." It's kind of like one of those. It's one of those ones. Cool people. I liked him. He was awesome, but I called him out on it, and he's like, "Well, in my 40 years." I never had to make a foreign loyalty. Well, then, I had to ask myself, well, then why is it on the bar association? It says that that the lawyer does not represent the client, and they put not the client in big bold letters to let you know that they're not there for your interest. So whose interests are they? So to say that you're not working for a foreign interest, either you're naive or you just don't look. And so it was just like, when you get to that point, you just kind of walk away because it's like, I'm not going to change my mind and I'm just going to irritate the situation. Just walk away. I already had enough drama for the day. So, and then all of a sudden my neighbor's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Da, da, da. I talk to him, let him know what's going on. And he offers to come pick me up. And just as I'm on the phone with him, the sheriff calls me and says, "Hey, I need to come see you. Where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm down by the library." And so they came and they met me and they got to meet Sam. Had three of them show up. One of them was animal control. They ran my ID. I always worry, hey, I got a 50-50 shot. I might end up having something out for me. Who knows? I've had warrants out for me that weren't even supposed to be out for me. Yeah, I've had some. That's kind of why I'm very anti law in a lot of ways. But these guys were very professional. They were honestly, they were a very upstanding sheriff's department. I gotta give them props on professionality, and their ability to get to the issue. Yeah, it took them about 2 hours to get to it, but I'm also out in the middle of nowhere. It's probably a small sheriff's department, and they got a lot of stuff that they got to deal with because people are going crazy. We're off grid. As the guy was screaming to me as I was walking away, is "This is the Wild West, and you can't do this." Da, 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 da. You know, because and that's basically the way that the cops here probably operate. Is that, well, they understand that when you're off grid, it is the Wild West, because this is one of those places where the law really doesn't reach. That's kind of why it's called being off grid, because if you were in grid, you could have a 20-minute response time. um, mm. Thank you, Beth, for answering your questions. Yes, please, kind of help out, because I gotta keep this straight. I gotta get this out, because otherwise my head will just keep running it around in circles and all this stuff. Okay, so I explained to him I have to. He's gonna send me an email where I'm gonna send him. I'm gonna send him the links to the videos and talk to him about it and all that. Or that way they have their evidence. But he got to watch I guess it's probably like the last 30 seconds to a minute of the first live stream this morning. He's like, "Yeah, no, I didn't see him point anything at you, but I could definitely hear what you were saying, and then I could hear 3 shots go off. Yeah, it's an unlawful da, da, da." And so he's like, "Yeah." I says, "Look, man, this is on YouTube, so because the thing is, it's like, dude, I'm not the only one that's had an issue with this guy. I'm just the only one being vocal, and this guy needs to go because he's being very, like, yeah, there's something wrong here." And yeah, that's kind of, as now the one that gets to push this along, because as the I guess I would be considered the plaintiff, because the state or the county is going to take charges against him and operate on my behalf. I'm going to have to come in as a witness. I'm going to have to come in and probably recount it. Plus, they'll have to use that as evidence, because of all that stuff. And I know that because the West is very big on victims' rights. So I know that they will probably give me some sort of say in the sentencing, or at least to be able to sway them. And I think that I have a strong enough vocabulary and a persuasive way about me. I am going to push that this guy really gets a lot thrown at him, because here's the thing. Me, like I said, this is the 5th time this has happened to me in my life. You guys shouldn't have. You tuned in here to watch me walk. You didn't tune in to get all that other stuff. You guys are harmed as well. And so it's not just me that's harmed, it's you, anybody that was viewing it. I think we had like 16 people on at that time that were watching that. Okay, so those 16 people that were watching it had to be traumatized, whether they realize it or not. That experience is going to stick with them. Excuse me, because it was a real life or death situation versus something that you see on TV that you know is fictional. This was not fiction, this was real life. Okay, and it wasn't like some little theater thing that you see from all the other stuff. But anyways, that's kind of that's kind of the way the day was. I got to send them all the links and do all that stuff, so I got to do that. I'm going to do a live stream tonight, but I'm going to tell you guys, probably just because of the way that I work. So just between the PTSD and the adrenaline rush, it's a very, very bad combination. I'm hoping that I was able to get all of that adrenaline out by taking a long walk and going 10 miles instead of 7. But if not, that means that I'm probably going to have a couple of issues for the next few days. And I may be low key. So, you know, I luckily I've got one video that took off and is doing decent, that can actually give me the reprieve to take a couple of days and step back, take a breath, get my mind straight, because, you know, that's not something you walk away from. That's not something you walk away from unscathed. It doesn't matter, even though I did not feel fully threatened at the point, because I understood where I was safe at. I had a witness behind me. I had a witness on live camera. So there was my if anything would have happened to me, I would have been vindicated. My aggressor would have been taken to jail and been caught red-handed, and there was no way he could have escaped from it because of all the other stuff that was going on around there. Because this is the importance of networking with people and being nice to people and being cordial to people and stuff like that. Because it doesn't matter whether you like them or not. You still got to be polite and work within the community guidelines. And that's just part of being part of a community. It doesn't matter. And so sometimes, even if you don't agree with it, you just kind of go along to get along when in Rome. And that's kind of the same thing that that I'm trying to do here. And the reason why I do that is because um of for situations just like that. What's up, Matthew? um Welcome to the club of being shot at. It sucks. Oh, this ain't my first time, kid. This is actually my first time that I had it happen to me. No, the second time I had it happen to me, because when I was a kid, my mom made the neighbors mad, and we woke up to bullet holes under our bed. um yeah, my mom loved to cause trouble. Mm. Yeah, my mom was a fighter, not a lover. You got right back on and let us know. Traumatized just hearing that crap talk, then gunshots. Yeah, I mean, I apologize to you guys for it. I understand. Um, if you were one of the viewers, feel free to reach out to the Apache County um, uh, 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 um, the Apache County Sheriff's Office and let them know that you were a witness to it, and that, you know, you would also like to be considered because it affected you. Now, don't be a jerk about it and say, "Oh, well, you know, it affected me," even if it didn't. No, be honest. If it affected you, say something about it. Because here's the thing: because of the Patriot Act, in a situation like this, the law can benefit you. Because of the Patriot Act, um, he does not get a pass. It's not just an unlawful discharge of a weapon at this point in time. Because I was on a YouTube live stream, because I was in public, because he made threats that could be heard around the world, essentially. um that is the same as terrorism, and it is domestic terrorism. And this is really why I want to push the charge the way I am, is because yeah, it is scary, Janelle, but it is what it is. But this has been my day. And, you know, I just stick a fork in me. I'm not going to get much done for a couple of days. I know you guys will understand it, but if I get to a point where I say, hey, look, guys, I kind of fell behind because of this. Can you kind of help me out a little bit? Don't be surprised. Other thing is if you just want to help me and just be a part of the channel and come see some of the stuff that's uncensored, because if I had a bigger crowd behind the paywall, or if this was happening over on Patreon, I would be going on Patreon doing this for everybody else. Thanks, Tommy. Tommy, I believe you are the one that sent me that sent me this. Okay, I want to say I got it. I want to say thank you. Okay. And tomorrow is another day. Yes. I do meditation and stuff like that, but my problem is, see, the thing is with PTSD, the reason why they call it post-traumatic stress disorder is because whatever it is, it's going to trigger you, which means you do not feel safe. I felt safer there than I felt in a lot of other hairier situations. That's why I wasn't freaking out. And because I knew that I had that I had all of my ducks in a row. I thought he would be belligerent with me, yell and scream at me, but I was kind of expecting this. Thank you, Matthew. I was kind of expecting this. Oh, I got to add another ticket for you. Okay. So you are now up to 7. All right. Yeah, just I was expecting the belligerentness because of the way that he was texting back and forth with me. I was like, oh God. Okay. So I brought Sam, and Sam didn't even phase Sam. She's just like, yeah, whatever. Cause it sounded like a firecracker. She's just like, she's too busy doing her own thing. She wasn't even paying attention to what was going on. It's like, dude, you're supposed to be my service dog, asshole. So, but apparently no, not at all. Okay. So this is a real life experience. You got to experience this with me. And for those of you that got to experience it with me, I strongly apologize. I did not think it was going to go that far. Were they controlled aim shots? Did you hear snapper whiz? I've been, when I was a kid, yeah, like they were under my bed. But this time, no, he pointed it at me, and then he pointed it up and away in the air to fire his warning shots, because he already knew that I was live when I was pointing the camera at him. Something in his head. See, that's why I started to move like that. Like, you're really going to point a gun at me on live camera? Because that was his indicator of like, oh wait, that last bit of reason of, oh crap. Because it doesn't matter how crazy somebody is, they know how far is too far and that they can't get away with it. And so I use that to my advantage. Okay. And so that's the whole thing, is he was pointing it at me and he was ready to shoot me. Okay. But because I was on a live stream, which I made sure to get on the live stream before, like I said, I expected him to get belligerent. And you know what? He probably would have made a few threats and stuff like that. I would have told him to go fuck himself, and we would have been on our way. But when he pulled that out, that's kind of when the game changed. Okay. So I expected him to be belligerent. I did not expect him to be dumb enough to do something like that. I mean, come on. If he would have just been belligerent, I pretty much could have done nothing. There's like, yeah, okay, so what? He's yelling at you, and the cops are going to come out and go, dude, give us something real to do. Whereas with what he did, it gave the cops everything they needed to go bust this guy's door down, take him and his dogs off and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if that's why his girlfriend really isn't around, because he kind of got a little volatile with her, because she's supposed to be coming back. But I think I'm not sure that that's true anymore. I think that she got away from him as quickly as possible. You might consider getting a weapon yourself. Well, my Second Amendment rights, because of what happened on trail when I made it over to the Alabama side, or excuse me, to the Georgia side of the Pinhoti. I've got like 3 more years until I can get my Second Amendment rights restored. But if I want to, and I think I'm gonna go see the process of like how this happened, because this happened in Georgia. Unless it's put in a federal database, they won't know here in Arizona. Okay, that's the weird thing about it. And I don't really want to be carrying something like that around, because it just I I don't know. I want it more for in the house protection, property protection, but not outside. Because I'm not going to violate anybody's property. Nobody has any reason to bring harm to me because I don't want to be bothered. So I leave everybody alone. That's just the way it is. Mm. But yeah, what else was between you and he? He basically, and I said this to the cops too. I said, he told me that he was going to come to my house and he was going to shoot it up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I said that was kind of like why I'm going to the point of like, at first it's like, okay, you discharged a weapon, but when you start threatening to come to my home, at that point in time, now you've pissed me off, and I'm gonna push as hard as I possibly can. And this is the reason why I don't do legal processes like I used to, is because I understood that if I'm like a pit bull, once I sink my teeth into you, you're done. You are done. You don't ever want to you never want to go toe to toe with me legally unless you know 100% that you can win and that my argument is wrong. And my argument is always 100% solid because I'm always thinking that way up here when I do things. So in the grand scope of things, he escalated this to a point where now I want to push, and I'm going to push as best as I can. I will probably reach out to the prosecutor's office and maybe whisper in their ear and say what I really want to say and have it said, and make sure that the prosecutor understands. Okay. But what questions? Oh, before I get into what was sent to me in this care package, and I've already started. I already ate the Easter bunny, by the way. Thank you. Um, uh, uh, I'm going to. I want to take any questions. So, do you guys have any questions about this before I move on? Because I don't want to talk about this tonight. I wanted to get this out and do a dedicated segment so that you guys don't have to worry about it. Okay. So, okay. What did you do as soon as you turned off the camera? I did my what 3 words to find my location so that I could call 911 and tell them exactly where I was, because I couldn't tell them any other way. That was immediately what happened. As soon as I got off of the call with the police, I immediately came back on camera, and then you guys got to see everything else. So that's all that happened. Is like, apparently they did not hear him threaten to come to my house, but that was part of what happened. And I was telling them, like, hey, look, hey, it's turned off. You're fine. Okay. But I do have a right. You can't violate my privacy. Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about, dude. This is a public place. And he's like, this is private property. Dude, that's, so many people try and use that argument, and it shows ignorance. And in some ways even stupidity, because it's a lack of willingness to learn and understand. If you're gonna go, I want my right to privacy, you better understand what your right to privacy is. If you want your right to something, you better understand it, because nobody else is just going to sit there and go, hey, yeah, we respect your rights. No, if you have a right, you need to enforce it. This is why it's important to understand basic contracting law, because that's the whole system in a nutshell. Okay. But that's just my opinion. Okay. Sorry. So I'm probably going to be chain smoking. And for the person that sent in money for a pack of cigarettes, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That was okay. So cheers. 7 AZ. Beer grow 420. Huh. Well, let's see. But you could definitely get a restraining order. Yeah, but the thing is does that make it to no? Because here's my problem. That is my way into town to go to the post office. It cuts 2 miles off of my walk by going that route. And so either I have to find another route, which my neighbor is going to help me, or I have to go the long way. And so therefore now I'm having to detour myself and put myself in a different situation. That is an easy way into town. It drops me right by the post office, and it's real. I don't even have to think about it. It's up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down a hill, a couple of winds, a couple of bends, you're into town. So this is your neighbor. There's another route. Yes. Yes, you were just he's gone. Oh, nice. They came and took them. That's good to know. Thank you. You can teach us about that. What 3 words, Professor? What 3 words? You got to go download the app. It's an app on your app store. It's real simple. If you are in the middle of nowhere, you don't know where you're at, when you call 911, they can find you using what 3 words. It's integrated into their system. It is a great way to be able, like, if you're so far off grid, they can't find you. If you've got a what 3 words location, they can find you. Okay. That's the importance of what 3 words. Okay. So, um, if it's not his property, he has no business telling you where to record. Well, no, yeah, I was on the road, and I even asked the cops. I said, "Look, I'm a YouTuber. I know that stuff like that, laws and stuff like that are a little finicky with me. Did I do?" He's like, "No, no, 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 no. You were walking down a public road. You were doing you weren't doing anything wrong. You had every right to do it." Because they asked me like, "Oh, how many subscribers you got?" I got like 10,000. Well, why were you interviewing them? Because I explained to him that this all kind of came through an interview, because I was going to interview him, and I want to interview some of my neighbors around here. So because you guys asked for that, and so the yeah, it is what it is. Okay. But what 3 words is a great app for you to have on your phone at all times, because even when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you've got no cell phone signal, you've still got satellite connection for GPS. And what 3 words will work through that satellite connection to the what 3 words. So you should be able to, anywhere, any place on this planet where you get stuck, you can definitely do something like that. Okay. So, oops. Protection order. I don't even know about that. It's more than that. There's more than that. The thing is a protection order doesn't do anything. My mom had a restraining order on her second husband, but that didn't stop him from kicking in the fucking door. Okay, so a restraining order is a piece of paper that's only enforceable in the amount of time that it takes you to notify the authorities and the authorities to get there. A piece of paper is in some ways worthless. The paper's paper. So anyways, let's see here. Bear Grow here in chat. Okay, yes. Thanks for letting us know. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of my favorite things that I got. So this is one of the things I got. So now I've got double A's. I still have a lot of triple A's from Bucknut because I used the USB flashlights, but for my bigger flashlights, I needed this. Yeah, well, I had a 357 that discharged on me. That's why I had all the problems in my 20s that I did. It was a 22 and a 357. The 357 discharge went through the pit, landed an 18-month-old little girl's diaper bag. Okay, so yeah, and if I hadn't been being lazy that night, I'd have had it right in the back of my head. So that's basically the first real time where my life flashed before my eyes, like, and I unloaded that plane, and they had to literally pull me off of the plane to come and fill out a report, because I was just like, screw it, I'm just going back to work. So because I guess that's my coping mechanism, is get back to work, then you've got something to distract you. But anyways, I got these, really like these. Thank you very much. Another thing, these are going to be my favorite. I got to figure out where to hang these though. Okay. This right here, I want to see if I can figure out a way to get this in the backdrop. I'm absolutely, this makes me tickled pink. Okay. I also, because sometimes I get bored and I don't want to play the games on my phone, I can finally play solitaire. Holy cow. So I got some cool stuff here. Sent me a couple of mashed potatoes, an emergency blanket. Something else that I really like is I got some new bootstraps, because these ones are falling apart. Thank you for listening. Much appreciated. Okay. Also, I'm still trying to figure out what this is. It looks like it goes on a propane tank, and it's an igniter. I don't know. I'm gonna have to. I haven't opened it up. I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Also, Band-Aids. Really needed the Band-Aids. And even better. Okay, so I've been talking about how I need to redo my first aid kit. Well, the most important thing for my first aid kit, especially after, if you guys see what happened to my thumb. Okay, so this right here, I got antibacterial cream. I've got some gauze. I got some, let's see, some compressed gauze. I don't know what this is though. Oh, it's a splint. Okay, probably for a finger. Okay, so, but I got a first aid kit, which is freaking awesome. So I've got, dude, I can survive next winter much more comfortably. And he also sent me an inverter. Now, the one I have is like 500. This one's 450. It's nice. It's compact. I will probably keep this as a backup just because of how dependent I am on power. It's important to make sure that if that thing goes out, then I've got a way to be able to get power, because getting power is important for me to sustain myself out here. Okay, so I got that, and it also even comes with the clamps and stuff like that. So that's pretty dang awesome too. So all of this stuff is pretty awesome. I can actually use these clamps on the charge controller right now, and then that way I have a better connection to the whatchamacallit. Yeah, but those are big squares. They probably got to be separated. They probably can't. They probably won't work on mine because they'll probably cause an issue. Tommy says items for Coleman lantern. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, Coleman lantern. I'm gonna have to get me one of those. I'm just really glad to know that he's gone. So thanks, man, for letting me know. Okay, Beer Grill. Okay, Coleman lantern. No, Duck UP. 357. Cheers, Beth. Okay. Definitely. All right. Tommy says, okay, items. All right. Okay, so we've gotten this out of our system. Everybody's fully updated because it's amazing to see how many people care about you, though. I mean, the only person that didn't call me was my old man, and I actually had to call him and tell him what happened. He's like, "Oh, well, when Denise calls me, because she's the one that watches my stuff, she'll tell me and all this other stuff." I'm like, "Yeah." So just I let him know what happened after I got done with the sheriff's office, and all that stuff was good and golden. It really was. So, um, mm, mm. But anyways, what's up, Sam? Yeah, Sam. You know what? It didn't even phase Sam. She didn't even nothing wrong with her. It didn't even phase her. She didn't even think anything. She didn't even know anything was going wrong. That's the weird part. Probably because I didn't get really erratic. Sam is a grounding agent for me in a weird way, because I'm always one of my core pillars of the content of my character is responsibility. Not only responsibility to myself, but you also have a social responsibility to your community as part of the social contract. And so I have a social responsibility to Sam. So when something like this goes off, I was able to use her as a way to be able to ground myself, because it stopped being about just me and it became about us. And so by becoming about us, it allowed me to not focus on it and really like go to a point. Because if my eyes ever turn straight black, that means that I'm in the middle of an adrenal rush. You should probably back away and turn around. Um, yeah. And de-escalate real quick, because at that point in time, that's when I become volatile. I even had to tell the sheriffs when I said, look, I have a hyperactive adrenal gland, I have PTSD, and right now I'm shaking and all this other stuff. I've got a lot of adrenaline. I got to keep moving. So just please bear with me, but keep your distance. And they kept their distance from me. I appreciated it. But yeah, that's I've been dealing with this for so long that I kind of know the safety protocols to be able to do when I interact with people, to make sure that I can keep my composure. And plus all the issues that I ended up having with Sam on travel, it caused me to not let it affect me that much. It used to be like I would black out every time somebody would come at Sam, grabbing at her, calling at her, whistling at her, stuff like that. Like my eyes would turn straight black, and I would just be on a tirade. And as it happened over and over and over again, in a lot of ways I became desensitized to it. So and I think that's a lot of the reason why I'm able to be as calm as I am. But on the inside, I'm telling you, I want to rip off my skin and come out. I feel like I want to turn my skin inside out. But but what you guys get to see, you guys don't get to see all that, because for some reason I've learned to keep that to myself in such a way that it's almost scary. Because it almost makes me feel somewhat sociopathic. Okay, so Tommy, okay, cool. Jealous of that inverter. Joanna. Yes. What about Joanna? Hmm. I think she's at work. She told me she'd call me after work. She probably doesn't even know what happened. Mm. She's gonna come into this so late going, what the fuck? So, but guys, like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, tell you guys what was going on, and give you some sort of updated, stuff. So now you guys can feel comfortable. I'm safe. I'm at home. I'm secure. I don't have to worry about it. We just got let know by my neighbor that he's been taken off, so I don't have to worry about that either. So therefore I am able to to do that. So anyways, um yeah, but I think I got it out of my system enough to where I've talked about it, I've exercised about it. Now I've just got to be would be great to build a root cellar or small storage shed and put a panel on it. Yeah, that's something that I will do later on after I get the property mostly paid off. But anyways, that's just kind of what happened today. That's pretty much the event. Like I said, you're gonna have to stick a fork in me. Thanks for putting something in the super chat there, Matthew. And also for anybody who wants to come over, become a member over on Patreon. I'd love to be able to keep something like this private instead of public. This is something like this is something I would normally, because it was public, I was forced to deal with it publicly, but I would have never talked about it otherwise. Just because I don't need to bring the stress and the drama and all that stuff and all the crap that comes along with it, because at the end of the day, I'm safe. I'm good. I know I've got good friends, and I know I got people that care about me and that got my back, and I'm good. So there's nothing to fret about. I'm just gonna. It's a processing time. I'm just gonna have to take a few deep breaths. Don't expect much content from me for the next couple of days. I will be doing my live streams, but they're probably going to be very low key. One of the things that I'm going to be using as a distraction is my is diving into my work, because it will help me at least allow time between the incident and being able to deal with it, so that when I get ready to deal with it, I can deal with it on an unemotional level. And it's going to take a minute for that to happen. So diving into my work, you'll probably see me work twice as hard now. So, hey Tuck, wow, crazy shit. Glad you're safe. Thanks. Thank you guys very much. But consider coming over to Patreon, becoming a member over there, so that we can have more private conversations. Because, like I said, I wouldn't put this public, but over on Patreon, this would be something that I would talk about, because I know I have privacy over there, and privacy is important. How much do I need? I need it's $350 for all of the materials plus another $100 for a ladder. So we're looking about $450, $500 is about what I need. That will allow me to do it, and I'll even live stream it when I do it too. So yeah. But yeah, $450, $500. I just put in a budget of $500, and I'm gonna have to find somebody that will give me a ride, because that's gonna be because essentially I want to do it right. I don't want to do it wrong. And so what I got to do is I got to get in there and put some special soap on it. And then once I put the soap on it, then I got to put the primer on it, and then I got to put the tape around the edges, and then and I've got to do all the seams and stuff like that. And then I got to put the rubber over top of it, it's going to become a rubber roof. And then every couple of years, all I got to do is just go on there, do a quick scrub, and add some more rubber, because the primer's already on there. And so therefore it makes it easier maintenance. The bucket itself, I think, is like $150, but the full kit is $350. So that's kind of where it's at. But if I have my choice of a ladder, The reason why is I would really like a little giant because it works in augmented situations because you can raise and lower like it doesn't have to be a little giant, but something along those lines to where I can augment it to the slope of what I'm at versus kind of like just doing a cheapo flimsy ladder because out here I'd fall off that thing. Um, whereas I've used like the little giants because one of my tenants had one. It's pretty cool. They were pretty cool. Mm. So, but anyways, but yeah, that's what I need to be able to fix my roof. Is I need to raise $500. So, however I do that, I'm going to do it. I'm saving up right now, um, and every chance I get to save an extra dollar, I save an extra dollar. Today, instead of going, I mean, I bought myself a pack of smokes, but instead of buying my regular tobacco like I did, I bought pipe tobacco because I'm going through tobacco really quick. I've been smoking a lot and I'm chain smoking really bad. So I went with the cheaper route just to make sure that I can have that I can be as cheap as possible with my personal expenses, so that I can save as much possible for either rainy days, like hey, I come up short on AdSense one month or something like that, then I at least have something there. But also in the meantime, I also want to once I get the $500, then I'll go ahead and put that up. But yeah, if somebody wants to fund that, um, you're more than welcome. If anybody wants to sponsor it, you'd be more than welcome. Um, it would be something that would be able that you could brand your name to if you've got a company or whatever that you're working with. That would be something for you to do if you want to do something like that. And here's the difference. So the difference between branding or just like, okay, so I have things where I can do referrals, right? But what I do is like I give out referrals. Either I just leave the links down and let you guys find them, or depending upon where I'm sitting at financially, sometimes I might start pushing those links to make sure to use other means other than just like putting all my eggs in one basket. So remember, $500 is what you said before. Yeah. Because yeah, that's because I know that I already priced it on Amazon. That's how I know how much I need. Is the could reach out to ladder or paint companies. Someone might be willing to participate for a video. That might be a good idea. That will be something that I look at doing, because now that I've had this experience with Stephanie, um, it kind of helps me understand how to be able to procure sponsorships. They're not going to come overnight, and they're not going to come banging down my door. It's going to take me a while to develop a relationship. I've got to show them that my audience would use what it is that they have, and so I got to be very selective. And then I can push them here and there and stuff like that. Now, the difference between me just putting out my random referrals versus like a paid sponsorship is, under a paid sponsorship, I have to keep putting your name out there. It's not like I can just do it willy-nilly when I feel like it. I'm making certain concessions or certain commitments that I have to follow through on. And so those commitments, it's just like you kind of, everybody goes where the money is. It's that's pretty much a simple way to do it. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just the nature of the beast in so many ways. Um, so, I mean, I'm working on getting paid sponsors, but it's going to be a while before I get a paid sponsor. Um, I'm going to be pitching people that I develop relationships with. Over time, I'm going to start working on developing relationships with brands. Now that I was able to develop a good relationship with Stephanie, and but she will always be. She doesn't have to be a paid sponsor here, because the thing is I believe in what she's doing so much that I want to push it out as much as possible. But mm, that's the cool thing about the way it is between her and I, is that I like her and respect her enough. She'll never have to worry about me getting upset or anything else like that, because she's fair. And that's all I really want from a person, is I just want them to be fair and to treat me with basic dignity. I don't. I've had enough people berate me and treat me like crap that I don't need it anymore. Um, yeah, she is a very good woman, very kind, very patient. Um, very reserved. I'm actually, I wish I could develop a little bit of that, because it would go really good in the way in which I put out content. But I tend to be a high energy type of guy, and that's just the way I've always been. But to see somebody like her that's as reserved as she is, I strongly admire that. And sometimes I kind of wish I was, but I know I'm not, and so I just got to be okay with it. But yeah, that's that. But let's see, could reach out to okay, yeah, but yeah, she is definitely a good woman. Um, I would stake my name to her name. As far as that's why I'm willing to. I don't need her to sponsor me or anything. Although it would be nice. It would be nice just to be able to say, hey, look, cool, look, she sponsored me. But does she have to? Does she need to? No, because at this point, because I like her and I like what she's doing, and she's a rebel just like us, that we need to, it's about community, and she's a big part of our community, and she's the reason why I have what I have. And I want to make sure to tell people and scream it from the top of the roof every time I think about it, every time I have an opportunity to do it. But for any other company, I probably wouldn't feel the same way about them. The relationship I have with Stephanie is because she spent as much time developing this relationship with me as I did with her, and making it mutually beneficial to where everybody's happy in the whole situation, because you guys are getting access to land that you probably would have never thought of or never known about. She's getting customers, and I'm getting a little bit of reprieve from my rent as a referral fee. So everybody wins out on this, and we get people in the community that would have otherwise not really had an opportunity to get something like this. And if you look in any of my live streams, her right now, I made sure to add her website to it. If you're curious about it, I even labeled it Stephanie, because I don't call her, she owns open air properties, but I call her Stephanie because that is the quality of relationship that I have with her. I don't call her Mrs. Dean, because it's a more personal relationship, and that's how you can tell with when a content creator has a very strong relationship with whoever it is that they're doing business with, whether it be because of it's lucrative or because it strongly aligns with what it is that they're doing. Those are the types of people you want to do business with, the ones that you see the creators kind of having them on a first name basis, where they're very personal with them, because that's an indication of a personal relationship, and that's what I have with Stephanie. And so again, I will stake my name to what it is that she has, because I think that what she has is a great product, and I think it will benefit anybody and everybody in this community that wants a piece of land. You're more than welcome to come out here and be one of my neighbors, but understand I'm not a very, I kind of keep to myself. Okay. I keep to myself, but I don't mind having neighbors. It's nice to have my community, you guys out here around me, so that we can have our own little safety net. Because as the world falls apart, the need for having that close knit community and coming together, because a lot of people were talking about, like, yeah, we need to form like groups and stuff like that, and then build like little communities. Well, you know what, your group needs to be attracted to you because they're like-minded, they like what you do, da, 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 da. So those that like me enough, that know that they can tolerate me, are going to come out and buy a piece of land, and they're going to be close to me, like Clyde is and others may be, and they're going to be close to me. So anyways, um that's all I have to say. But yes, I love Stephanie, and even if she didn't pay me a dime, I would still give her, I would still shout her name out from the top of the roof. And I think that that's the most important part. Okay, that's how much I respect and like and what she does. That's why I'm going to continue having her as a regular guest. That's why I'm going to continue letting you guys know, if you guys want an affordable piece of land, it's down in the description under Stephanie over at Open Air Properties, and you can go see what land she has. Give her a phone call if you have questions, and she will answer them. She's very transparent. You never have to worry about it. But anyways, guys, I need to go and just kind of rest for a while. I will see you in tonight's live stream at 8 Eastern. thank you for being here, and I hope to see you tonight.